For the people who don't know you, Lee, and you, Ash, can you tell us what exactly was your role in the making of this film?
Okay. I'm one of the co-directors on the film, along with Lee, and I had a history in story and animation. That was kind of my background. So about 3 years ago, John had this idea about what if Woody were stolen by a toy collector? And I was involved early on, from the early development on through to the final film. And I just utilized my strengths in animation and story to, we all collaborate. You got to know that all of us work together with John to get the film done, but we all have certain, strengths that we can bring to the table.
And I'm Lee Unkrich, and I was the other co-director of the film along with Ash. And we've both been with Pixar for about 7 years now. We both came on in the early stages of Toy Story. And I came to Pixar as a film editor. I edited Toy Story and A Bug's Life, so this is my first time directing with Pixar. I came to Pixar from a live-action background. I had no experience whatsoever in animation, which some people might find odd that I'm directing an animated feature without having had that experience. But what we found at Pixar, which is really great, is that our films have such a unique three-dimensional look, and we're working in little virtual sets with virtual cameras and lights and actors, that it makes sense to have people who have a background in live action working on these films, because we're kind of bound by the rules and conventions of live action film. I had no experience whatsoever in animation, which some people might find odd that I'm directing an animated feature without having had that experience. But what we found at Pixar, which is really great, is that our films have such a unique three-dimensional look, and we're working in little virtual sets with virtual cameras and lights and actors, that it makes sense to have people who have a background in live action working on these films, because we're kind of bound by the rules and conventions of live action filmmaking in addition to the history of animation. So it's really a perfect fusion for us to have people like myself from live action working alongside people like Ash and John from animation to create these really unique films that we make.
Well, I just spoke with Galen, and she told me how excited and scary John can become after he sees a sequence, a new thing coming out of the creation department.
Mm-hmm.
How is to co-direct with the director that goes running around like a kid in the set?
Oh, we're right there with him, If it's, we all have, I think, a lot of kid in us still. We haven't really grown up completely, even though we tied our own shoes and everything today. But
well,
if you came to our office, we have toys everywhere, and we really go to work just to have fun. Because if we have fun, it's inevitable it's going to show up in the film.
But it's true that John really is the biggest kid in the company, and
yeah.
He just inspires us each and every day to really cut loose and have fun and have a good time making these movies. He's a great guy to work with, and Ash and I both learned a lot from him through the years, and we've had a lot of fun.
Well, I asked that question to him, and I have to ask you guys. So what did this film give you the chance to finally play with Barbie that you always wanted in your mind?
Right. Yep.
Well, I grew up playing with Barbies, but no.
I never admitted it either until now, but
it's okay, man.
Public.
We wanted to have Barbie in the first film, and it just didn't work out because we hadn't made a feature before, and Mattel didn't really know who we were, and I think the last thing they wanted to do was take this commodity that they'd had for decades and decades and give it to people who they didn't know. But Toy Story, as we know, was a huge hit and is loved by kids and families all over the world. So when we were developing Toy Story 2, and we thought of a great way to get Barbie into the movie, being tour guide Barbie. Yeah, Mattel.
They were more than happy. And they were really quite liberal, letting us, they let us go.
They let us have fun. They knew we weren't going to do anything awful
Too nuts.
with Barbie. We stayed pretty true to what everyone thinks is the personality of Barbie. What we had fun with was trapping her in this realistic Barbie body whose fingers couldn't separate and whose joints were kind of stiff. That's where we had fun with her. We just left her with the big over-the-top bubbly personality that we all kind of think Barbie has.